So here's an interesting one. A group of Labour MPs have suggested that we issue digital IDs in the UK, just so that we know where all the illegal or irregular migrants are in the UK at all times. Now, I find that really interesting because if you've watched my recent videos, you'll realise that I am in China. And China is very big on ID and knowing where people are, and they're very good at it. But one thing I will say, which will surprise many of you, is that I don't come across people that really complain about it. In fact, it makes life a lot more convenient. You can buy coffee with an app and it will be with you in 2 minutes wherever you are. You go to restaurants, you order on an app, which is WeChat or Weixin, and you pay for it, etc. And there's so many different services on there as well, so it's really convenient. But let's get back to the point, the digital ID. Now, where do you stand on digital ID? Because not forgetting the ICO ruled that GPS tagging of migrants was unlawful, so this would potentially need a change to the law or overriding the ICO, which is odd in and of itself because the ICO is the regulatory body for data protection, and they ruled that it would be unlawful to tag them with GPS, in that it would be an unreasonable breach of their privacy. I don't really see how, because if they enter the UK legally and we want to know where they are, I suppose that's reasonable, is it not? Is that not a reasonable interference with their personal privacy being in the UK illegally, that we know where they are? I think that's reasonable, but I'm not the ICO. They said it was unreasonable and therefore unlawful. However, they do have certain requirements, and they are to not to necessarily report to police stations all the time, etc., as used to be the case many years ago. Even for students in the UK had to report to police station if they so much as changed the address. I've got a long video of the whole story that my wife and many other people went through coming to the UK legally and following all of the rules there, which takes more than a smile. But I'll just turn this around, you get some B-roll as well. So all the requirements you have to go through to set yourself up in the UK when you come to the UK as a student and do everything legally, that's actually quite a challenge. Having to register at the police station, all that sort of stuff. Not really the case for illegal migrants. In fact, just a bit of an aside here. I've been here for a good few days now. These are the first 2 police cars that I've seen. Well, police car and a van. And I've only heard 1 siren since I got here. And I'd better stop filming them in case they think I'm doing something funny. My wife and many other people went through a lot of trouble to come to the UK legally and all that. So when they suggest that we should have a digital ID for migrants, I don't think that's such a bad thing, personally, because why should we not know where they are at all times? Bit of an odd thing as well. This is a green pedestrian, but keep looking because they can still turn left into where you're going, so you have to get used to these things. But back to the digital ID and an app. It's a double-edged sword, really, because on the one hand, yes, arguably it's a restriction or an infringement of your personal privacy, a right to privacy, all of that sort of stuff. On the other hand, it's a convenience. It gives you access to lots of different things. At least here it does. The way that it's been implemented here, now this is just offering up a bit of perspective here. This is not me saying absolutely let's go for digital ID. Everyone has a fingerprint, a digital fingerprint, and everyone must have one to exist. But while I'm here, I'll just offer you that perspective, because here it's been seen by everybody that I've spoken to as much more of a convenience to help life in general than it has been an invasion of privacy. Because if you think about it, if we think about our everyday in the UK as it is now, we are very reliant on banking services. We are very reliant on things being digital. Your passport, the biometrics, all digitized. Banking is all digitized. And so much of our life is already digital, is it not? And so this takes that one step further. But if it's done in the right way, I think it could be a really positive thing, because it allows people that bit of trust between each other. So you have trading. I'll give you some examples. I'll put B-roll on here if I manage to find it. There's charging stations where you scan the thing, you take out a battery to charge your phone and such, but it's obviously tracked to your account, so therefore tracked to you. And I should say that to get verified on this app, to do all of these kind of things, to even pay for things, you need to be verified, and therefore you put in your ID so it knows who you are, it knows where you are. So if you use one of these machines and take the charger, they know who has it and they know where you are. So on the one, there's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, that is absolute, not restriction, but it's a bit of an invasion of your privacy. They know where you are at all times and what you're doing. But at the same time, it's sort of a trust, it's an enforced trust-based system whereby they are able then to provide all this stuff to you because you can use it. And if you don't return it, they know who has it and they know where to come to find it. And then suddenly they know that you've stolen this thing or just failed to return it for whatever reason. You can view that in a number of different ways. Here's one of the regular coffee shops in China, Luckin Coffee. And by way of example, you go into a coffee shop, you cannot order with cash, you cannot order over the counter. You order on the menu by using an app. So it's a digital menu. You scan the code to show you that you've arrived, and you order your coffee, you pay for your coffee, and when you collect it, you scan the code and it shows that you've paid for it, and then you collect your coffee, all of which on the app, linked to you and essentially your digital identity. Same thing with this place over here, is a barbecue restaurant. Really nice, actually. We had something from here the other night, and again, you order using the app, you pay with the app, and everything's fine. Everything just works fine. I personally would have, this will surprise a lot of you, I personally would have no problem with this. I am the biggest advocate of privacy and securing your personal data, but this is done in such a way that if you step outside of the lines, if you misuse it in any way, then it will cause you problems. So people generally don't do that. I'm sure some people do that, but there's all sorts of crime and fraud going on. But I think if it's done in the right way, it would work. And coming back to the point, should we do this for illegal migrants coming into the UK? Well, I think it's justified. But then the argument there is, if you do it for them, why not everybody else? And on another completely different note, China really is the country for colours. I'll do a separate vlog video on secrets. We have lots of pink cars, blue cars. I've seen all different kinds of coloured Teslas that I haven't seen anywhere else, like ever. I didn't even know they existed. Pink, orange, my favourite colour. But there we have it. Just some thoughts. Let me know your thoughts below. I am in a fairly unique standpoint right now to talk and think about this digital ID thing. As I say, it's a double-edged sword, and I've got mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, I think there's a lot of risk to it because there's a lot of information about you in one place, control, etc. But at the same time, how much do you think that they know already? Food for thought, double-edged sword. Let me know what you think. Leave comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.